So I'm in Melissa's room. This is this is how
Oh,
this is where I've got my desktop set up. So you know,
I love
it's
that.
Melissa's room slash my office right now. So
Is the table back in there?
yes, it is. It's there it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, table. Sorry we didn't keep you.
It has a future, but just not here in this small little place.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll look beautiful in whatever house you guys eventually buy.
Yeah, I picture exactly where it's going to be and what it's going to look like. We're just waiting for the house to fit around the table. That basically we're we're searching for a house that fits around around the table that we bought. So
Perfect.
that's what it really comes down to. Any house we look at, we're like, okay, show us the kitchen. We need to see. If it's not going to work, then show us the next place.
I love
So, but
that.
we're not in a rush, so it's just nice to be just chilling here right now in this
Yeah.
place. Apartment life is nice because um, I mean, I love gardening, you know that, but I don't. I was it was getting on top of me pretty good for there for a bit, where I just like, oh, I cannot believe it's time to mow
Yeah.
again, and I'm like, I'm good to get a gardener, but mom didn't really want. I like the idea of people coming in through the in the gate and all that stuff. So
Oh. Hmm.
so it was me pushing that thing around. uh,
Yeah.
uh, Fewer Saturdays than I should have been, but it's
It's
okay.
not worth it to throw out a disc in your back just for a clean lawn.
No, well, it wasn't good. I mean, the grass when the grass is getting long enough to go to seed, it's bad. Like you need to, and you remember the neighborhood. I mean, it was very manicured, so if
Mm-hmm.
you had to keep up, like you couldn't just take a couple of weeks off because your
Yeah.
yard stuck out. So there was a lot
Yeah, that
of
was
measure.
dumb. At least now, hopefully, whenever you guys get a place, you won't have to, because you can do like desert plants and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like you don't even have to have grass in the front yards, do you?
No, absolutely not.
It's like
Actually,
discouraged,
discourage it. Yeah.
as they
So
should.
look, I love flowers. I mean, I'm good with the yard. I just don't want grass. And it's funny because growing up, we up until I was about 6, we lived in Mission Viejo, and we had this backyard that had a hill on it even, and it was all grass, and we just had so much fun. And then we moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, and there was no grass. I mean, we had this huge plot of land, this house sitting on this big corner lot, and my dad, or not corner lot, but end of the cul-de-sac lot, and my dad just had said no, like, we're not putting grass, and I couldn't understand it. I'm like, what do
Why
you mean?
not, Dad?
How can
It's
how can
fun.
this be? Like, well, there's no grass. We're going to put ivy. And I'm like, ivy? And we could never play in the ivy, and tennis balls would get lost in the ivy, and
Oh
baseballs.
yeah.
But I understand it now. I understand it 100%. I'll never get grass again. I'm done with grass.
I stayed in a house when me and some friends drove up to San Francisco to go to the like a concert. We stayed in this house in Berkeley. It was a really, really beautiful house, and the backyard was huge. But from what I can recall, there was like a very small patch of grass. Like it was like two layers. So there's like a top deck layer and then a lower layer, and the top it was a lot of like almost like forest greenery and like trees and moss and like logs and stuff. So it was
Yeah.
like it was very lush and beautiful, but it just certainly wasn't a lawn of grass. It's like, huh,
Yeah. You don't
this is
have to get
nice.
grass. Who decided that? Like, who made that? Somewhere in the annals of human history, someone decided that every house has to have grass. I want to meet that person because I have stern words for him or her,
Who
whoever it was.
knows?
It's not necessary. There's a lot of things you can do, but here's the other thing though. Maybe it's gotten better, but I'm not down for like the pretend grass either.
No. You know what?
Is
We have pretend grass in our complex, and I didn't realize until I stepped on it and looked closely at it that it was pretend grass. The
Well,
turf,
if
it
you
was
didn't
like
realize
really.
it, that's
But what?
decent.
But why do that when you can have so much fun with like other things? Moss,
Yeah,
there's like absolutely moss that you can walk on. That's like as
right.
soft as grass. Probably
Sure.
more soft than grass.
Yeah, just a lot of cheap drought resistant ground cover that's pretty, but
Yeah.
also if you have a pet too, if you have a dog or anything like that, you
Oh
have to think
yeah.
about that too because just even if it's in the front yard, you may not have a pet, but someone's pet's going to visit your yard,
Oh,
and birds and everything else. It just becomes like this petri dish. A lawn has a natural cleaning mechanism, that nature has built into it. Just pretend grass is just like carpet, right? So how nasty does that become
I
after a certain
know.
amount? Like, are you out there disinfecting it? Like, how's that better than mowing it? I don't know. So
Blech.
I'm not really, maybe
Jo-
I don't know, not around the house. I wouldn't do the at least not, I haven't seen any grass that's fake grass that would have me buying it. So no.
Joshua is like a little bit of a clean freak. Like there are certain things that he really can't stand being like dirty or untidy, but he wants carpet in an apartment. And I'm like, do you realize what's under?
Yeah.
Like, you want 10 years of like
Who
living
knows what?
of
Yeah.
who knows what? Stepping on that, laying on that every day? That's what you want? I don't know. Hardwood is not
Yeah.
super comfy. Let's just buy our own carpets. We can take our own little rugs with us. So it's only our whatever, not random
Yeah.
people who lived here 5 years ago. Dead
Yeah. I
skin.
think the ideal, yeah, the ideal is when you move into an apartment, if you're living in an apartment or something that's rented to other people, is brand new carpet when you move in. Like where we live, that's
Yeah.
what it was. Like, okay, every time somebody moves out, there's new carpet put in. But even if it's your own place and you've lived there a while, it's just carpet, man. I mean, just carpet doesn't, it
It
just
just
collects
doesn't
stuff. Like when you don't
clean.
even realize it.
You
No,
can
after a
you
certain
can
point,
deep clean. You can deep clean like wood floors or like whatever it is that we have. Like you can clean that
sure.
100%. Carpet, you can never clean 100%. You have to douse it with chemicals to even get it close to clean.
Yeah. And that's a whole different kind of unclean with the chemicals, right? I don't really want
Yeah.
that. So
No.
no, the ideal I think is, my ideal at least is like original hardwood floor to an older house. So like a Victorian
Mm.
house with original hardwood. So it's got a lot of character. And then you
Yeah.
just put really cool area rugs in certain places, and you just change those out. But the hardwood is the charm of the place. I love hardwood floors. Like
Yeah.
I love your floor. I can see it from on my screen. It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Love it.
I like it too. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I don't mind it. And I have a big
Pergo
carpet
is
in here.
is a good
Virgo.
second option. If you don't have, if it's not hardwood, it's not wood, but it might be. Those apartments aren't been there a while. So anyway, I don't know.
Do you
Um,
think growing up in a house that had hardwood like made you like hardwood? I think that's part of
yeah,
where you like
probably.
it.
Yeah, we had carpet in our bedrooms, but
Mm.
everything else, all the common areas, all the family room, the kitchen,
Yeah.
the dining room, it was all hardwood. And but okay, here's a funny story. Grandma and Grandpa redid all the hardwood in the house, almost a decade ago now, and
Oh,
they
I
they
remember.
decided that, yeah, right, okay, they decided they wanted to go with the really dark wood, kind of a rich, lush looking dark wood.
It's beautiful.
Um, and it's lovely to look at, and it's awesome in a photo. But the problem of it is you have to actually walk on it and live on it. And this hardwood, it just showed everything, like every single smudge, every anything. So you remember, like, oh, hi, mom and dad, it's so good to see you. Before we even got a foot in the door to give anybody a hug, it was like, put these booties on your feet. You're
No
like you're
hugs.
wearing plastic bags on your feet as you're walking around, and poor grandma or grandpa, they're
Uh,
75 years old, following us around with this little squirt bottle of Bona, I think it was called, and they're like scrubbing away the little patches, on the that we're leaving, and it just was, and she just finally, grandma just said, that's enough. Like it is what it is. We're going to live with it. But you have to think about that. Like, okay, what's the dark wood going to show? It's going to show all the
yeah.
dust and any smudges,
Any
and
smudge.
I'm kind of more on the honey color side again, like what you guys are living on right
Yeah, it's pretty it honestly it's a blessing and a curse because it absolutely hides dirt. Like you can't, and same with granite. That's something I'm I'm a fairly tidy person. I like things to be tidy. I'm not as much of a cleanly person. Joshua's more of a cleanly person, so we have fun with that dynamic. But What I've realized is that we used to have tile in the kitchen, and white tile, you can see everything. Like there is no hiding any kind of mess. Now we have like granite, and it's this beautifully camouflaged granite. So sometimes like
Yeah.
I'll finish cooking and I'll finish cleaning, and like I'll look at the kitchen, it looks all clean. And the next morning I'll like walk in and I'll put my hand on the granite and it's just like crusty. I'm like,
Quick,
ah,
get the sponge before
get the
anybody notices.
sponge. Please, no one come in the kitchen. Don't touch it. Don't touch the
Yeah.
granite. I don't know, I didn't realize I don't touch the counter very much. So I've had to just make a habit of cleaning it after every night mostly. But it's so hard for
It
me.
doesn't show that little spot.
And I think I have ADHD. I would like to get tested at some point, but it's not like top priority. Just because it's so expensive and I don't even know if I'd want to go on medication. So there's that. But I think as a person
Don't.
who struggles with like, if something is not seen to me, it doesn't exist. Like if I can't see that
That's
it's
everybody.
dirty, it doesn't like there's no reason for me to clean it. It's really bad. That's probably why I'm more tidy
Yeah.
instead of cleanly. Like if I can't see it, it's not there.
Look, some of that the granite patterns that you see for countertops, it's intentional. It absolutely is
Yeah, I have
camouflage,
to assume.
and that it has its pluses and minuses, but the spot of grapefruit juice that you left on the counter the night before, you don't see it
Nope.
until you put a very important piece of paper down the next morning to sign or read, and then you pick it back up and half of it's still on the counter, the other half is in your hand. I've done that a few
That sounds
times.
like a personal story. Yeah.
It is, yeah, it is. These are all these anecdotes are derived from personal experience. But on the other side, though, the white kitchen countertops that we had at the old house, mom lamented those,
I don't
for
miss them.
every year we lived in them, because she just said, the grout between each tile. She said remember, she would put the bleach on the paper towels and lay them on the counter overnight, and the whole place would, it would smell like a hospital. And then she'd
I
peel them
hated
off, and it
that.
looked great and it looked amazing. But 3 weeks later, the grout would get dirty again, and she would just go, "Oh, this countertops! You got to get me granite or something like it." And you know,
It's a lot
I
of
never did
it's
get around to it. So,
well now you have granite, right?
yeah.
Like a white granite or something.
Well, it's a camouflage. I don't even know what to call it. It's just a weird color, a combination of colors designed to hide everything that's on it.
I'm not
So,
complaining. I just need to get better at assuming that it's dirty and not assuming that it's not
okay,
dirty.
at the risk of boring everybody with this, but the last thing that I'll say about granite, and we learned this at Tracy's place, is granite, because it's stone. It sucks the heat out of everything. So if you have a hot cup of coffee, and it's got to be hot, right? Like, I do not like lukewarm coffee, or and
Mm.
mom even more so. It's like, got to be piping hot. You set it on a granite counter in a ceramic cup, and you go away for 5 minutes. You come back, the temperature has been cut in half. Like, well, you're wondering what happened. Did somebody put an ice cube in this while I was gone? And it just has turned into a room temperature dreck. So you have to have the right,
Yeah.
what is it, coasters, I guess. Anyway, funny things you don't know when you're looking at a like a home
No.
magazine and all these beautiful pictures. There's a difference between what it looks like and what it is to live with it. So yeah.
Yeah. I assumed all when I saw granite, I was like, all my problems are gone. Granite's easy to clean. Granite's, it's prettier. I don't have to deal with a nasty grout, but I did not consider all of these other side effects. But it's
Yeah.
gay.
Well, the
It's getting
bonus of,
older.
of renting a place is that it takes all those decisions away from you. But you don't have to make that choice. Like, when you're
Yeah.
in your own place, if you don't like something, you have the choice to change it. But if there's something like at our place, yeah, I wish I had hardwood floors, but I'm not going to put hardwood floors in an apartment. Like, they wouldn't let me in the first place, but I could do it without them knowing. But then I'd pay for it twice, because I would have to undo it later. So, it is what it
Yeah.
is. You take what you have, and that's what you have.
Our bathtub is so scuffed. Like, We like it's
Oh wait,
pretty
what was the word you used? That was a great
s-
word. What'd you say?
scuffed.
Guffed. I love it.
Scuffed. SCUFFED.
Okay, so it's
Scuffed.
scuffed. Okay.
Scuffed. So I don't know. I think it's from like years of having a manager that we didn't want to bother. We have a nice manager now, but we don't like the bathroom. It like wasn't draining. First, it wasn't. It had like the super old. It was Gerber bathroom plug. Like it had been, the metal was corroding on the thing, and so we called and we're like, hey, this bathtub doesn't drain. Or no, we couldn't get it to stop. Like we couldn't get it to fill for a bath. And so he came in and fixed it. And then the from that point it wouldn't drain. So then Joshua pulled out the entire mechanism from the bottom. And so from then now we like couldn't figure out how to insert the mechanism. So we've just like I just Googled like how to stop a bathtub without a drain, without like a drain plug, and I'm just using like a paper, like a towel that's in a plastic
Are you
bag, and
kidding
I'm
me?
shoving it down.
Are you serious?
I should
What?
just
When? This is
ask.
at the old place?
No, this is currently, this is my own fault. I
No.
just need
Okay.
to ask. I just need to ask
Yeah, I'm sure
because
it's
it's not working.
it's simple. Like whatever you pulled out, you can put back in.
I
You
just
know,
feel
you just have
bad
to know
because
how.
we already replaced it, but then we ripped it out because it wasn't working either. But we need to figure that out. It
So it
works.
was because it wasn't drain. Your tub wasn't draining. Your
It
shower wasn't
was,
draining.
so at first it was draining, and then but it wasn't stopping. So I couldn't like make a bath. So then the
Oh, okay.
repairman came in and fixed it, gave us a new thing. So then it would stop, but then it wouldn't drain. So then Joshua pulled out the whole thing, and now we just haven't fixed it because we feel bad.
Well, in the meantime, there's better options than the plastic bag and the towel. You can get like, I'm just, man, that's a real wise statement of me. But there's like just like flat plastic saucers that you can just sit on a drain that the water itself will seal it. Like the things you use for your
Oh,
kitchen sink, you could use for your bathtub.
okay.
So
I'll
you could,
try
but
it.
just don't kick it. Yeah, that's hilarious, Dara. That's about like the ultimate janky home solution
Uh huh.
thingy.
It's just like one of those things that I don't think about enough to like fix. Like, neither of us take baths that often, but you have a whim. And you're like, I would really like to take a bath right now. You're like, well, here's what I have. This will work for
I need to take
today.
a bath. Break out the grocery bag and the
Give
sock
me a
and open up the
Ziploc.
sock drawer. I need to take a bath.
Yeah,
Well, I wish I could help you, but as you know, I'm not. I'm more just as likely to make it worse as I am to fix it if I
me
were to
too.
try. It's not
Me
my
too.
thing.
Oh well. I'll
So you
ask.
don't
Our
have to call
manager
a
is
plumber. You just call
nice.
the manager. Yeah, he's a good guy. He'll help you out.
Yeah, he is a good guy. Uh,
So what's life like now that you're a Twitch partner? How has your life changed in the last week?
huh. Surprisingly a lot. I honestly didn't expect it to feel all that different, but it really does. And I think there's a few things. I think one, I'm no longer thinking about numbers at all. Like before, I was being very cautious about the amount of time I streamed and what time I streamed and what game I was playing, and like getting people in to stream because I had to keep above that 75, which I was doing like pretty easily, but I was still nervous about it. Now that that pressure is gone, it's not that I like cared that much about the numbers before. I knew we were at the cusp, so I wanted us to not like lose it. But now I'm not thinking about numbers at all, so I feel far more relaxed and like I'm able to play. I'm playing like a super scary game called Superliminal now, and on top of like my normal games. So that's one thing. I feel more free in what I'm able to play. I just feel way more relaxed.
Hmm.
I'm also surprised at the amount of recognition that I'm getting from like in other chats. Like the little check mark, like people in other people's chats like want to start talking to you. And it's very weird. I almost feel like turning it off sometimes because suddenly these people, like, they're streamers of mine who are friends who are like bigger than me. They're averaging like 1,000+ viewers. And now all their chat wants to be like buddy buddy with me. So it's like, I understand. I don't know. I get it. But I'm surprised at the amount of like clout points that I
Yeah.
got from that. Yeah, it feels good. Like it feels nice to have like an outside entity putting like literally a stamp on your hard work.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I got my Twitch name changed to Dish.
I was just going to ask you
DISH,
about that.
that's
I
it.
saw that. Now, is
It
that
feels so
because you got
legit.
partnered in it, right?
So
Were you able to
partners,
do that because you got the purple check mark or what?
yeah, so partners get access to partner support, whereas affiliates kind of get thrown into the mix of everyone. Partners get like top eh, top assistance, and I
Hmm.
a friend of mine came into chat and was asking me about it, and I mentioned that I wanted to be Dish someday, and he was like, there's a way to request it. So I just put in a request, and within like, I think 4 hours, that my name had been changed because the person who
So,
had
okay.
DISH as their username had been inactive for like 5 years. So they just gave it to me.
Oh,
It's
there you
cool.
go.
It feels weird to get that
That's
kind of
great.
like a four letter username on Twitch is like definitely a
Right.
little. That also gets me now that I have the check mark and I have a 4 letter username with no numbers and it's just a word. Like that's it. I feel
Right.
it's very hard. I can't really go incognito anymore on Twitch, and like
No.
I don't want to make anyone nervous by like going into like a smaller streamer's chat. I don't know. I have to figure it out, but it's good. But
You'll
it's
get
just
used
like
to it. It'll
another
grow.
step up.
You'll grow into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only analogy I can draw was when I finished my doctoral work, and
Mm.
suddenly I wasn't Prof D, I was Doctor or whatever, and people call me that, and I was like, what? Like, doesn't even sound like me. Like, can we, and honestly, I've actually
Yeah.
gone back and I introduced myself to my classes as Prof D because Doctor, it's
It's
just
not you.
in that setting, it's just not me. I'm just not. I mean, it fine. It's on my CV and it's on the university site, and I'm proud of it. But it tends to make people. It can sort of sound put offish or standoffish a little bit. Like if I not that I have it, but if I introduce myself that way, like, oh hi, I'm
Yeah.
doctor, like it's just weird. So I kind of went away from
Yeah.
that, but but I still get introduced that way, and as I should, I guess. But and I'm used to that now. But it's
Yeah.
still a
But
little
you
bit
want to
weird.
stay casual. Like you didn't get your
Exactly.
doctorate to like you didn't do it for the clout. Really, like
No.
you're furthering your education, you're becoming a better teacher, you have extra
Yeah.
credentials. Like there's the credential component and then there's like the image component. And like I think that definitely sets you apart as a professor because a lot of other it's great. It's like kind of weird looking back on it how much other professors like are very adamant about being called doctor, and
Yeah.
it's just a little bit, I don't like it thinking back on it now.
Nah.
It's just, yeah.
It is a little strange, I guess. But in higher ed, it's it opens up all the doors basically professionally. If you
Yeah.
want to walk through them, you need that. It's like kind of a almost like a union card, so to speak. And I don't
Yeah.
belong to a union, but you have to have it if you want to get into certain areas of the profession. But in my graphic novel students, it's hilarious because I say, well, I don't want to be called. We have a lot of fun in that class. I'm like, I don't want to be called doctor, you know. And they're like, well, we could call you Doctor D. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a villain from a Marvel movie or something, or something from. More like a villain from Pixar, Doctor
Yeah,
D. Yeah,
Dr.
you can do
D.
that one. It's like, hey, just call me if you can call just call me Doc then or something. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's whatever. But the blue check mark or I'm sorry, the purple check mark is more important for what you do because it triggers all kinds of different
Yes.
incentives for you and access and obviously more support and everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And I think
very cool.
I don't know if HyperX was planning on sponsoring me officially until I don't know because they like selected me as VIP and then gave me the sponsorship. So I don't know if that was planned or not, but I have to assume that me getting verified on Twitch has to help with the way like sponsors
Sure.
view me because it means like I signed a contract when I became a partner. So there's a certain level of like I don't even want to call it professionalism. It's like it's something else. I don't know. Expectations?
Well, sure.
Something like that. Like I know what I'm doing basically is what that means and like I'm going to stay within a certain frame of acceptability on the platform. So I'm basically like a more trustworthy candidate for something like that. So I don't know. All I'll say is a lot has changed already within a week. So I have to. We'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, it's been like a cool. It's been such a weird, such a weird. I feel like I was saying the exact same thing last Wednesday that it was such a crazy week. But
Yeah.
now I just had another
Yeah.
kind of similar caliber crazy week, and like I'm gonna be streaming from the HyperX channel on Friday. So I don't
Right.
know. It's just I keep telling my community this is like I want to grow because it helps me become, more stable. Like I obviously there's an income component, but I don't want our stream itself and like our community to ever lose like the casual, familial, like friendly vibe that we have now. Like I don't want
Right.
the purple check mark to like deter that at all. And I think that's obviously like up to me. And it's not like my community is going to turn into something else overnight. Like those people have been
No.
not selected, but they naturally by the content I
You
make and
guys are
like
tight.
other people, like, yeah, like we've come together very specifically. So yeah, all things I'm considering. I don't want it to get to my head and
Mhm.
I don't want it to I don't want it to change me, I guess. I don't know. I feel more
Just
confident, but
yeah.
that's all I really want. I just want to be more confident,
Well, that's a
not more
good
cocky
way to go
necessarily.
about it. Yeah. Yeah. I saw your soap your soap vid
Oh yeah.
on the naturals. That was nice. Mom ordered some.
Oh good.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's helpful.
Yeah. But she knew she would, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like what I see her, she's on her phone. She's in bed, she's on the phone, and then I look over and I see the credit cards out. Like, oh, we're about to get some soap,
It's a
aren't
nice
we?
stove.
Yeah.
It's actually really
Yeah,
nice.
it looks nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my 6 bars for $35.
Yeah, they smell. You'll probably get another one because there's one in the box that it reminds me of the bug spray that we used when we went to Oklahoma.
Citronella. Yeah.
So I can't enjoy it. So I'll probably give that one to you guys. I don't want me smelling like that. I don't want Joshua smelling like that. So I gotta get it out of here.
We have a citronella plant out on the patio here, and Mom really likes it. I don't love it. It's maybe because I don't know. It doesn't flower, so it's just there, and it's big.
Ugh.
And last week it was really windy here, and the wind blew it over, and it knocked it into this cactus that I've been nurturing for 2 years, and it's finally blooming, and it knocked one of the broke one of the bloom stems off.
Oh
So
no.
so now I really have it out for that citronella plant. I'm like, are you serious? Are you kidding me?
It's
So
so hard to get cacti to bloom.
I know. So it's like every 2 years, maybe if you're really faithful. So we lost
Citronella.
50% of what the bloom was. So yeah, for the citronella is a bully, not only anything
Citronella.
else. So I it's grounded now. I tied it down to the I guess the railing of the patio so that it can't fall now. And It's just I was
That's
bitter though. I'm
beautiful.
still bitter. I'm still a little bitter, but I'll get over it.
Citronella. No good. I mean, it's not a bad plant. It's just I hated that bug spray. That little bug. I hated it. It smelled so weird. It took so
It's
long to
awful.
apply, and I just remember carrying it with me, putting it on like when I went to Jackson. Where did I go? Jackson Hole,
Yeah, that was it. Wyoming. Yep.
Wyoming. I got like 20 bug bites in one day, and one of them was literally this tall off of my leg, and I just remember putting that stick of
Yeah.
citronella nonsense on my leg, hoping that it would help.
And it
Nope,
didn't.
didn't help. I thought I was gonna die. I had like 12 mosquito
Yeah.
bites and then one that was just insanely large. Good times.
Yeah, they're different. They're different outside of California. I'll say that.
Yeah, they are.
You should thank me. We got you out of Oklahoma before you were even 6 months old because they're predatory out there. They come at you, and it doesn't even matter if you're wearing a shirt. Like they'll go through your shirt. They'll land on you. Because I remember I was working on my car out in this house we were renting out there before you even born, and it's shaded under all these trees. So it's just I didn't know any better at the time because I was just pretty naive Californian, and it's just the ideal mosquito breeding ground because it's just shady and humid, and I'm
Mhm.
out there, warm-blooded mammal out there working on. I was putting a new uh, fuel tank in that 66 Mustang that I had and I sold when you were born, and I'm out there and I didn't think anything of it because I'm like, well, I'm in long sleeves. I can see these mosquitoes are landing on me, but they're not getting through and there were a lot of them too. So it wasn't like there was one. There was like, I looked down, like there's 4 or 5 on my shirt, and with these
Ah!
striped black and white striped legs, and they're just kind of landing on me. And I had a long sleeve T-shirt on, and I like, I'm protected, and I had put something repellent on my face or whatever in my hands, and by the time I went inside, I'm like, man, I'm really itchy. Like I took my shirt off, and I mean, I looked like I had the mumps or something. I just measles, or they were just. I
Oh.
really they had penetrated the t-shirt and gotten me on my arms, on my chest, on my shoulders. So yeah,
Ah!
it's no good. So California, knock it if you want to, but it's
You
worth it.
know, we pay a premium, but we pay for a lot of things. We pay for
Yeah.
that weather. We pay for non-megalodon bugs, and we pay, we pay for the ocean and for
Yep.
concerts, and we pay for food. Like we got access
Hmm.
to everything, especially in like the bigger cities. So yeah, I don't think we'll be moving out anytime
We
soon.
no, we have this conversation every now and then, and it always kind of goes down the same road of kind of thrust off into never land. Like, yeah, maybe someday, we'll do it. And then the 10 years goes by and we're we're looking for houses, so in Ventura. So I mean, we're not going
Yeah,
anywhere.
and Ventura is so nice.
Yeah.
It's just so pretty and calm. It's perfect for you guys.
Yeah, it's my speed. It's absolutely my speed.
Yeah.
It's not too crunchy. We went to we've been other parts of the state like Ojai or even Santa Barbara. It's a little bit,
It's not the same.
it's just not quite like Ventura is just it's beachy, but it's not too hoity-toity, and also not too granola crunchy. It's like right in the middle.
Everyone just like
Uh,
lets everyone else live. That's what it seems like.
Nobody cares. Yeah, nobody cares. Just I mean, you're at the beach, man.
I
It's
know.
nothing to get worked up about.
It's the
You live
shared
your life,
interests
and
of the beach.
yeah, it trumps everything else. Who cares what your politics are and your religion is, and just we're here, you know,
Yeah.
the setting over the ocean right now. So you really want to have this debate right now, or do we just order some barbecue and just
Literally just
have some
chat, have
have
a
a good
beer.
time,
Yeah. Take a
enjoy
dive.
enjoy each other. So yeah.
That's
So
nice.
anyway, yeah, the restaurants are opening up here at last.
We're
But
supposed to go into the orange next week. Los
I saw
Angeles
that.
is crazy. It feels so fast.
Yeah, it's super fast. It's almost like we just decided, okay, that's it.
I mean, I guess the vaccine is going out, but I've heard that the cases are rising. So I'm confused about why
Yeah, the death
we're opening up.
rate or death toll, death numbers of people
Count
dying weekly count. That's the word. I don't think that's changed. I don't really know, but
seems
again,
weird.
not to get too political, but I'm happy this is happening, and I'm leading the parade. If the place is open, if the doors open a crack, I'm shoving my way in. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
that's
excited
that.
too.
So,
I am
but it's kind of
excited.
weird though because you have this weird um, dichotomy going on. Like yesterday in Santa Clarita, Mom and I met some friends who are uh, they're newlyweds and they're military, so they're moving to uh, Florida. I'm not Florida. Where did that come from? Uh, I don't even know where that word why that even popped in my head. Not Florida. They're starting in Mississippi, but they'll be in Italy in 6 months. Less than 4
Oh,
months, 2 months.
wow.
And
Cool.
so we wanted to say goodbye or see you soon or whatever. And definitely not goodbye. But anyway, we're at Bodie Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
You know that place, that coffee
Mm-hmm.
place on Soledad,
Yeah.
and it was open. Like we were inside at a table, masks off, drinking coffee, eating a
Wow.
blueberry muffin. It was awesome. That's the right. It's red tier, 25%, whatever. But and then after that, I had to go to work, but we stopped off at Panda Express, like the highlight of healthy food, right? But I mean, it just sounds. Some days Panda just sounds good, and we went
Yeah.
and uh, and Panda. Not only they didn't have no seating available inside, and they were so strict. It was like they wouldn't let us. We had to exit. She came chasing after us from the cashier after she took the money, to make sure we didn't go out the door we came in. Like, no, 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 you got to go out that door. And I'm like, this is so strange. We just came from down the street where we're inside eating and drinking, and in here we can't eat inside. We can't access the fountain to get a soft drink or whatever, and we have to be herded out a specific door. And so I guess you're going to get that. Like every restaurant,
Yeah, I mean, they get to
every
make their own
business.
choice about
Yeah, they make
it.
their own choice, and I'm not really knocking it. It just was interesting to note that there's such a difference between from place to place. Like who knows what you're going to get, And
Hmm.
Starbucks is really, you know,
Yeah.
holding the line right now. Even here in Ventura,
Oh,
they
wow.
won't let you sit inside. I'm like, come on.
I mean, I guess it's a really small. Your guys' Starbucks is tiny.
Well, if it's for I think for the employees. I mean, I understand that. Like if I'm an employee and I'm
Yeah,
really
especially
concerned
for
about
retail. Like,
COVID-19
you're getting
and people
exposed to
coming in,
everyone.
so that's why I never groused when I had to wear a mask going into a store. Because I'm like, well, it's not for me. Like
Right. No.
it's for the people who have to sit here and interact with everybody coming in and out of the store from all over town. And if I don't like it, then don't go in. Like it's pretty obvious. I never didn't understand people throwing fits because they weren't allowed to go into a store
No.
without a mask.
It's
But
so
one time, right
selfish.
at the height of the whole pandemic, Mom and I went to Whole Foods, and she just forgot. And I had my mask on, and she just forgot. We walked in and we made it all the way to the back of this Whole Foods. It was this huge Whole Foods. I mean, it was
No way.
forever steps all the way to the back. And finally, like someone just came tearing up to her, ma'am, you got to put on your mask. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I totally. And she did. She wasn't trying to
Uh,
subvert the rules. She completely forgot to put it on. And, but I'm like, Mom, you're Deb, such a rebel. Like you're going to
I
get us arrested, because this was in the
Yeah.
summer, like, or even
Yeah.
it wasn't the time to not be doing it.
There was a time, I think it's kind of, well, I don't know. LA is still kind of like this. Like, if I was in a parking lot walking toward IKEA and I didn't have my mask on, and I was almost to the door and I noticed people were staring at me. I was like, what is happening? And then I realized I left it, but like, I almost walked into IKEA, where
Without it.
people from all over the world, there's so much diversity in IKEA. Like, I hear like 20
Yeah.
different languages when I'm in that store. And I was about to go in there without a mask on or try.
Basically, a super spreader event, right? Yeah,
Literally super
everybody
spreader.
is
I
there, and
do
then you just
I
go all across Southern California.
I feel so bad for the grocery store employees cuz like they have no choice. Like they got to make a living. So they're not going to stop working. But I feel like the way that the grocery store COVID stuff was handled is so different from how it was handled like everywhere else. Like there was like a little plexiglass between you and like the checkout person, but then right behind them was another, slew of people, and like I don't know, like the aisles are tiny, so like you're slipping past people. I always felt, I don't know, I don't think I ever interacted with a retail or with a grocery store employee that stood 6 feet away from me. Like when you ask, I don't know what the deal is, but when you ask a grocery store employee a question, they walk like right up to you. And like I try to step back, literally just for their sake, because you're interacting with like hundreds of people plus a day. So I don't know if they just like resign themselves to it, which is sad, or I don't know. It's just like impossible to
Yeah,
abide by the 6 feet in a grocery store.
no, you can't. There are a few groups that I think kind of qualify as heroic during this past year in the pandemic. Obviously, the healthcare workers, the doctors and
Mm,
nurses, the orderlies, anybody working in those
nurses.
areas. I mean, yeah, they're on the front lines, and they were putting their lives on the line, and some of them lost their lives. I mean, they're that everybody is quick to commend those people, and they should commend those people, and I do too. But also the grocery workers, because they never closed. Like they
No,
never
they couldn't.
closed. It couldn't close. And so, I mean, I remember again in the beginning being afraid to go outside.
Yeah.
Just the beginning, afraid to go outside. I mean, really on my mind, like I'm being second guessing whether I should be ordering takeout, right? But still going to the grocery store
Yeah.
and getting what I needed. And they're there, and they're just there, and they're handling everything that I've touched because it's
Hmm.
coming down the conveyor belt or whatever without fail. And they didn't sign up for that. Like if you're a doctor or you're a nurse or whatever, like that's comes with the territory, and you hope you never have to deal with it at that level, but it does come with the territory. Not a
Yeah.
grocery store worker though. Grocery store workers like, man, this is just I didn't I didn't
I
need to
didn't
be on the
sign
front
up for
lines
this.
of a disease, right? And yet
Literally.
they did it, and so that they should not be forgotten in all this too.
No, not at all. It was weird. The whole thing, like, I don't know, there was like such little protection provided for grocery store employees. Like, one thing they could have done that would have been a pain, but I think might have helped is if they had, like, I don't know, they could have done like a takeout type thing. Like that's how I get most of my groceries now, just because it's convenience. But like I order groceries and then I go pick them up. Like if they had, instead of inviting shoppers into the grocery store, they could have either hired more employees and basically made them all shoppers. So they shopped for people and then brought their order to them. But I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like there was no protection for them really, except a
No,
plexiglass screen.
and what a service they provided too,
Yeah.
literally because we wanted to go be able to go get food. But I think more importantly was even on the psychological level, because
Yeah.
if I think everybody collectively felt like they were going to be okay. They didn't know what the deal with the pandemic would be, but as far as like everything else, as long as they could get food to feed their family. But imagine if in the midst of all that,
The
the
grocery
grocery
store's
store shut down,
closed.
and you didn't know if you could. Like, if for people who had their kitchen stocked, great. But what about people who didn't? Like, okay, but I don't have any food to eat. Like, what am I supposed to do? And there were parts of the country where there was the deal. There were people,
Yeah.
the military was delivering food, like or there were lines you drive through to get food. We never experienced that here in Southern California. The grocery stores
No.
were always open,
There was a
and
threat of it though.
except for yeah, and
Just the
so
thought was
that was
terrifying.
was so. Props to the grocery store workers, the convenience store workers,
Yeah. Thank
who
you.
yes, thank you, and obviously the healthcare workers too. But um, definitely learned a lot. But the dedicated shopper job is a new job, and I think it's cool. I think that's not going to go
Yeah.
away. I think pandemic or not, that's just so convenient, right? If you want to,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it costs. Does it cost extra to do it? To pay
At Ralph's, it
fee?
doesn't cost anything. They've made it free over the course of the pandemic of like 2020. I think it was like $7 for a time, which is nothing. Amazon, which they can do because they're a mega company, will deliver to your house for free if you spend $35 at the Amazon Fresh. And all you have to do, the only option to pay extra is for a tip.
Okay, I'm glad
So
you
I've been getting
mentioned
my
tip because
groceries delivered.
okay, I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
The whole tip thing, because like if I go to a restaurant, I mean, I worked as a waiter for a couple years, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally sympathetic to that. And I was always consider myself a really, a good tipper. And
Yeah.
I always figured, look, there's the difference between an average tip and a good tip is a few bucks. And you why not drop the extra few bucks and walk out the restaurant, with your head held high, instead of like slinking out the back because you
Yeah.
stiffed the waiter in some manner, in some way. But it's now expanded way beyond going to a restaurant and sitting down. It's if you're going to use like a card and they have that little Apple thing
Yeah.
at the register, they turn that thing around every time. It's like, oh, just complete the transaction. They kind of say as a kind of
Mm-hmm.
indiscriminately walk away, and you look at it and you're like, okay, do I just press okay? But it always says tip, like, and there's a certain amount to tip, and you're like, okay, but I'm at McDonald's right now. Like, am I supposed to like what's happened here? And it's for everything, no matter what you buy. And during the last year, I was happy to leave a tip because
Yeah.
I'm again
Yeah, me
for what
too.
we just have been talking about. But now I've gone back and I'm ready to revisit that because I'm at, like, for example, at the Panda. Um, you know, they always ask you, do you want to get, do you want to give
Panda
it
asked for
extra
a
da da da
tip.
for such as they ask for a tip, and then they also have that thing, they flip it around, and Bodie Leaf was the same way. And of course I left the tip because you don't want to feel like a bum, like, oh, oh, it's my set, but
Mm.
my I just paid 450 for a latte. Now it's going to be 550 for a latte. It's weird, and it's just $1. But if you add it up over the numbers of times you do this,
Yeah.
it adds up. And I'm not trying to sound cheap or anything. It's something
Well,
that I got in
people
the
are
habit of doing and
asking
never
for
even.
tips that used to not
Yeah.
ask for tips. And it's like it's weird because my I don't know. I agree with you. Like I've been tipping more often and more generously over the pandemic just cuz these poor employees have to be out and
Right.
serving people and stuff. But it's like the reason we tip, like in the past we tip people who deliver stuff, people who transport your goods, drivers, stuff like that, and people who rely on tips to get paid, like restaurant servers. Isn't I don't know exactly how it works, but aren't like tips a huge part of how sit down restaurant servers like make money? Like isn't the hourly rate like ridiculous or
Oh yeah.
something?
I don't
So
know what
like
the laws in California keep changing, but yeah, for sure. You
yeah.
don't even make minimum wage because they factor in that you're going to get a certain number of tips per hour, and so your hourly rate, at least it used to be less than 15, but I think that might be different now. I think maybe now
Oh.
everybody's got to make whatever the minimum wage is. I'm actually not sure,
Yeah, I don't know.
but still, yeah.
I honestly I don't we don't go out very often, so I haven't had to think about it too much. Like we buy from we order from DoorDash, so we obviously like tip the driver, but we haven't been asked to tip at a restaurant. Like it I don't know. I feel like it depends on how much effort is being put into making the whatever the thing is. Like at
Yeah.
Panda, if that person is just going to be scooping the items and giving it to you, is that worthy of a tip? I don't know. It's fast food.
I I'm
I
paying
usually don't.
I'm patronizing the store as it is, and I'm paying the premium for you to prepare and cook it already.
Yeah.
And I can't even eat inside, so you're not going to be cleaning up my table.
Right.
I'm not. I'm just taking it to go. Like,
It's
that's
a
the other thing. What
transaction
about
only.
at at an actual restaurant where you just order takeout? Like, it's different. You're not giving a 20% tip if you're just picking it up and leaving. But I was during the pandemic because they had no other way. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
was the only way they could get a tip. So I would leave a tip as if they waited on me for an hour and a half. But now I'm
Right.
kind of like, well, I don't know. And I'm kind of reverting back to, you know, if it's a $40 bill and I'm just getting it to go, I might leave like, three or four, $3 tip, kind of like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
I'm
the
not
thing
sure if
is,
I haven't decided.
yeah, it feels weird though. But I like restaurants when you tip at a restaurant, you're directly paying for the service that you received from the waiter, and like you're helping that, like that's how they're making their money. So like that's why we
Right.
tip, right? That's the point.
Yep.
For a employee who's just, you know, assembling something, like that's not equal to the hour and a half of waiting on a table and cleaning up that table and like communicating. Like the waiters have been trained to like talk to you
Right.
and, you know, make sure you have a nice evening or lunch or whatever it is. So I don't know. I, we don't go out that often, so I haven't had to think about it. But I feel like there's room to. I don't think, I don't think every store that sells something with a little iPad should turn it around and ask for a tip. I don't know. It does seem weird.
But they
It
do.
feels far more compulsory than it ever
Yeah.
used to. It's not in the spirit of tipping, honestly. It's
Well,
supposed to be
tip
out
is
of
how you
generosity.
differentiate good. Right. You differentiate good service from bad service, or what, and somewhere in between. Or really, I don't look at it as a way of like punishing someone for giving me bad service. I think that's a kind of a messed up way to look at it. It's more like,
Right.
hey, you know what? Like you're going to get 15% from me. I don't care if you ignore me the whole day. Like that's just, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm taking it at your table. But I mean, and if you spit on my food, probably I won't give you 15. It'll be different. But I mean, short of that, right? The but
Yeah.
the but the but for the server who I'm like, wow, they were really really good. I'm going to go beyond 20% because
Yeah.
they've earned it. Like they worked hard. They anticipated. I never even had to think about my drink getting. I sound so privileged saying all this stupid stuff, but I mean, it's just as a waiter. When I was a waiter, I took a lot of pride in trying to give good service. And there were times with certain tables where I knew I didn't because I got sat like four tables at once,
Mm.
and I would have to jettison one of those tables. Wasn't going to get the best service,
Yeah.
and you try to make a judgment which one's going to be the worst tipper. I'll just go ahead and
Yeah.
write them off, and it's kind of messed up.
You do what you gotta do when you're running out of
And so
time.
you're not surprised when your tip is less than exemplary. But then there are other times when you just had a great interaction with the table. You got everything they needed. They asked for all the special stuff, and you didn't get anything wrong, and everything was just it was just a blue star stellar situation. And you get like $10 on $100 bill, and you're like, what did I like? I would lose sleep over that, not because of the difference between a good
Yeah.
tip and a bad tip is $5. I didn't lose sleep over the $5 or $10. It'd be more like, did I do something wrong? Like what what did I miss? Like it would bother me. But I came to realize that you have to just be satisfied with giving good service.
Yeah.
And
And that's the
you know,
thing. I don't like. I wish America would abolish the whole tipping thing, and like other countries do, and just pay their employees better. Like charge more for the food, and then let's ignore the
I
tip
didn't
thing.
realize that.
Like,
But I didn't realize that a couple of years ago when we were in
oh,
Paris, and I like we went to this restaurant. First of all, we get to it and it's like 9 o'clock at night. So I'm walking in wondering, are you guys even still open? But it was strange. It was 9 o'clock at night. The sun was still up in the sky. Everything was bizarre. And we sit down,
weird.
and and by the time we left, it was more crowded than when we sat down. It was empty when we sat down. So dinner is much later there, and the sun goes down much later. It was all very odd and unexpected. But at the end, he brings a little thing around, and I give him my credit card to pay, and I ask him, well, how, because I was told, they don't. It's not the same. You're not going to be able to give once you give me your credit card. You have to tell them when you give them the credit card what the tip's going to be. So that's being me. I'm like, okay, so um, can I put a tip on it now? And he's like, yeah, well, how much you want to put on? He says in his French, heavily accented English, French version of English, and I've just put 20%. It's just whatever 20% after the post tax, whatever it was. So I do it that way because it's just easy, right? So it was if it
Yeah.
was 40, it was $40. Okay, it's $8 tip. So I'm like, okay, I just put $8, and he's like, oh, okay, thank you. He was very surprised by that, and I didn't realize until later when I got back and I was talking to the other people we were traveling with that that's not customary there. But I kind of felt good about it. I'm like, well, I would rather be thought of as the generous American than the obnoxious one, and or the chintzy one. So that's fine, you know.
Yeah, we get such a bad rap for good reason in other countries because we're
Yeah,
so obnoxious and
probably
loud.
deserved. Yeah, probably deserved.
Yeah,
So never want to be that guy, you know. Never want to be
you
that person.
know. But it's just I like I understand wanting to reward. Like I want to reward people for especially now, like for staying at their jobs and like making it possible for me to get food, but also like the servers who don't get the chance. I'm sure there are like plenty of people who saw this as an opportunity to stiff at restaurants because like, well, I'm not getting the service, so but like and like I understand that perspective kind of, but it's totally selfish. And then like that
Yeah,
totally shafts the 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 waiters who have no choice. Like they've been trained and they want to give good service, but they can't. So I wish that America didn't force. I don't know. I wish that America just
yeah.
provided better for their waiters. It just feels
Well,
bad. I feel
yeah,
bad for
exactly.
them.
Yeah, so change the subject.
Puts
I
everyone in a
made we
weird
tell
position.
Joshua this because we Joshua and I talk about this from time to time. I made my first significant investment in cryptocurrency this morning.
Ooh, okay, okay. Which
I finally
one?
pulled the trigger. I've been watching it for a long time, and I'm probably going to regret it because it feels pretty much like gambling. You know, because I don't like to invest in things I don't understand, and I don't really understand it. But what I
Uh-huh.
do understand is that the Fed cannot continue to print money at this rate and there not be hyperinflation. And I've, you know, typically
Uh,
what I would do in a situation such as that, I would look at commodities like gold or silver and those types of funds that are a good hedge against inflation, but those aren't doing anything. And I couldn't understand why for a while. And I understand it's because that money that typically follows gold and silver is actually trading in the
mm-hmm.
cryptocurrency. And so
Right.
I said, okay, well, if I look at it, I don't have to understand it except to understand that it is the 2021 version of gold as a hedge
Mm,
against investment, a hedge against inflation.
mm.
Then that changes my perspective.
Interesting.
Uh, so I mean, I missed the boat on Bitcoin in the summer.
Uh-huh.
I was going to do it and then didn't do it, and it was at about 10,800 a coin, and now it's like, you know, it got up over 60. Now it's down to like 55 or something. But
Mm.
so that was kind of a miss. But um, th- this time around, what I decided to do was invest in Ethereum because
Ethereum.
it's number two in market share of the cryptocurrencies. It's
Hmm.
also, I think, number two as far as what the price per unit is or coin, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you
It's
know,
exciting.
I feel kind of locked in because with the way taxes work, you know, capital gains taxes, if you sell before if you sell it before 365 days and you sell it for a profit, there's a much higher tax rate.
Yeah.
If you're because you're designated as short term, but if it's after a year, it's designated as long term, and it's like goes from 40% tax on it to like 12% or something like that. I'm not even really sure, but it's significant. So,
That is
but
criminal.
at the same time, if it
40%
runs,
taxes? That is
yeah,
criminal.
maybe I could be wrong. It could be less. I'm not. It could be less. It maybe depend on what your bracket is. But if if it runs and it does really well, I'm probably going to take the profits before a year because taxes or not. Because you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not playing it like a roulette wheel. I just wanted to put something somewhere that is a hedge against inflation since we don't own a house right now. So you need
That's
something.
smart.
But anyway, tell Joshua that I did that and.
I'll tell him.
Because he and I have gone back and we've texted and, you know, what about Dogecoin and what about this and that, and we just has had a lot of fun with it.
I think we still have
But
Dogecoin. I don't
yeah,
think he
yeah, hang
sold
on
it
to it,
yet.
see what it did. But I decided let's go with Ethereum and see what happens.
Gosh,
But they're coming up with
Ethereum.
new ones every single day. It's
I know.
ridiculous.
I mean, Bitcoin is obviously the most well known and like reputable. Elon Musk like absolutely exploded the value of and the validity of Bitcoin by accepting it as payment for Teslas. Like he is way too powerful. That guy. I just have to hope that he's not some super villain that's up to this like crazy plan.
Me- Mega Mind or something
You
like that.
literally make a mind. I have to hope that he's at least somewhat human and wants to not destroy the world in some way in the future. But
Right.
he's yep. He's got a
Well, he's
big
crafty
brain.
because
Yeah, he's too smart.
before he announced that he would accept Bitcoin in exchange for Tesla vehicles,
He
he made
freaking
a
bought
huge
some.
investment in Bitcoin. So, I mean, in billions, like a huge, out of the realm of anything you or I could envision. And so
Okay.
he bought it, and then he did this
And
thing
then
to
validated
to
it.
further legitimize it. And so I mean, smart, right? If people
Yeah,
are, if the fish are biting, you know,
I
put your bait
guess.
in the water. But more power to him. But yeah, I hope he's not some nefarious villain. But I do appreciate that he's attempting a new way of space travel that doesn't involve government bureaucracy, because he
Mm.
sent
Mm-hmm.
rockets out into space for like a tenth of the price that NASA claims it needs. But everybody knows that
Interesting.
if the government's doing it, put an
It's gonna
extra zero on
cost.
whatever it should cost.
Right. Right.
So
Bureaucracy
I
is
like
so inefficient.
privatization of things. Yeah, it
Me
just
too.
becomes more efficient. So
Yeah.
I'm down for that. Um, I've not driven a Tesla, so I don't really know. But I have noticed that gas prices have gone up from almost $2 a gallon in California since the election. So
Yeah.
um,
I've
so
seen
thank
like
you, Joe.
$6. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Joe, for that. But I know it's not all on him or anything. But look, he's the president, so he has to own that. The price has gone up.
It's whether you're
And
the president, you get the blame and the well, you sometimes get the
yeah,
gratitude, but you get the blame for
you
everything.
you get yeah, and he's not for fossil fuel, so
Yeah.
when you cancel Keystone pipelines and things like that, you can't expect gas to.
Yeah.
A lot of things drive gas prices that I don't fully get. But anyway, the higher gas prices get, the more attractive a Tesla becomes, because
Yeah.
you can offset the cost, right? So
True.
I don't know. We'll
It's
see.
tempting. Not that it's
Maybe if my
anywhere within my our budget to buy a Tesla,
no,
but
but maybe if my Ethereum does really well, and then maybe he'll decide to take Ethereum as a legal tender, for so
imagine.
perhaps I bought my future Tesla this morning. I just don't know it yet.
Imagine. Oh man.
I mean, they're
I mean,
affordable. I mean, they're not out of the
no,
realm.
yeah.
It's just
Isn't
a
the
question
lowest one
of,
like 32?
yeah.
32K
I
or
mean, it's not
something?
really any more expensive than anything else. But
It's not horrible.
my car, I don't have very many miles on my car right now. I'm trying to put miles on my car, because forever I would drive it like
I
5,000
know.
miles a year. So I have this
Oh,
2014 car that has just finally crossed 50,000 miles, only
oh
because we
my
moved here.
gosh.
So it's going to be a while. I'm in
That
no
car is
rush.
beautiful. It's a very
I love
timeless
it.
vehicle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
old
you're the one who
Hyundai.
turned me on to the whole Veloster thing. So
I
thanks.
know. I know I did that.
I thought you'd be excited when I brought it home, but you were actually I won't say jealous. You were like, so you get one before I get one. I'm
It
like,
was a
yes, I get one first.
manual. It's a
Yeah, that's right. You
manual. I
can't.
can't drive a manual, and I don't want
I can
to.
teach you how to drive a manual. You do want to do. There's so much more engaging and fun than an automatic, especially for a
That does sound fun.
sporty car.
That does sound fun. Maybe I'll come up and you can teach me.
Sure. Let me get the clutch close to being worn out, then I'll teach you. So you can go ahead, push it over the edge.
Okay. Sounds
Mom
good.
taught me how to drive it. Mom taught me how to drive a stick.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's a lot of funny stories about that, being me getting stuck in intersections, and yeah, when we were
Just take me
dating.
to a parking lot.
Yeah, no, we were actually on Wilshire on
Oh
Brentwood.
my gosh.
It was
That's
like thrown into the
terrifying.
deep end of the pool, unprotected left turns with a stick shift, with 5 cars behind me, angry as I'm like
uh,
stalling,
no,
stress.
no, no. No.
Anyway,
Gosh,
I'll
maybe
take
that
you to the
would be
parking
good.
lot.
Okay, take me to the parking lot. Like we did when you taught me how to drive the first time.
Yeah, the old days.
The parking lot. Well, let's close it out for the day. Thanks everyone for listening. See you next time. Bye.